Hi everybody, it's Diane again, and I'm here to lead us on another project. It's a little bit more about design and about repetition and about tessellation. Tessellation is when pieces of a design fit together perfectly. You can find this in puzzles. A puzzle piece, when you get it right, it fits like a glove. It fits perfectly together, and you know it's tessellating. And often a pattern can repeat and fit into the one next to it, right? So actually, here's an example up here of one I just built, and you can tessellate zigzags easily. You can tessellate certainly squares, like in a checkerboard. It's tessellating. If you see tile in your home, in the bathroom, wherever, you see it tessellate as the maker pulls those pieces together. They fit beautifully together with no gaps. So if you see a gap in something, like if there was a hole along these edges, or this edge did not fit in there, it would not be tessellating. So to make a tessellation with our home materials, I want to start with the materials of a scissors, a pencil, some color pencils, and I just have a bunch like that. They can be fancy or simple. I like the ones with a little oil in them. They're softer and they really go up. They make a nice deep color, so I like that. And some tape, a piece of white paper, just normal paper from computer paper, whatever. And I'm going to start with a 3-inch square. You always start with a square with this, and I'm just saying 3 inches because it's a nice basic size to begin with. And if you have cardstock, you're going to make your square on cardstock. If you hear it, then it's thicker than regular paper, right? And it's great. This is a 5-inch by 3-inch piece of index card. It has lines on it. I don't know if you can see the lines. Yeah, there we go. See the lines? And because I know it's 3 by 5, I don't even have to measure with a ruler. I can just do some geometry. I fold it perfectly together from one corner to the next, and I fold it. Let's see if I can show you this better. I'm folding it there, and I'm creasing it, and where that is folded, it ends up giving me a triangle, and if I cut along that fold line, I will get a pretty accurate, I'm going to open it back up, 3-inch square, 3 by 3. So I cut off 2 inches, right? If you want to just use your ruler and lay it down and mark 3-inch marks on both sides of your paper, and then draw a straight line between those and go the other way, you can create just a bunch of 3-inch squares too. All right, so I did that with this too. That's just a normal piece of thick paper. If you don't have blank cardstock, you can just use a card that came in the mail. You know, you recycle it for this project. So we're going to start with our square, and in this case, instead of just tessellating a square, we're going to add a design to it that we make ourselves. So I'm going to, along one side, going from corner to corner, I'm going to create a shape. And it could be wiggly, it could be straight, it could be whatever shape you like. I'm going to sort of make a wave shape this time. And it goes from corner to corner, but the wave is in there. Let me show you what it looks like. I did a wave. You might not want to do a wave. I love to swim, so I always do waves. And while we're at it, okay, so we did one side there. Let's go ahead and cut that shape out now, okay? As you learn this process, you can change how you do it. You don't have to go corner to corner, but I think it helps a lot to make an interesting shape. You don't have to cut it out right away. You might want to make your second step next, but this is the way we're going to start off. So I cut a shape, and let me show you again. So this is where I cut it out of, and this is my shape. So this is the negative, and this is the positive. This is the trick of the whole tessellation idea. We're going to move this, slide this up and around to the opposite side of our square. All right? It is now not a square anymore. It's a very interesting shape. And you can use this to tessellate just the way it is. It'll make a really nice pattern. But in order to make it stay there, I'm going to tape it. So I have some tape. I'm going to lay it down, tape it. And when we get it taped, what's really important is that it's right butting up against each other. It's not overlapped. And this little piece of tape that's sticking out, I'm going to fold that around or cut it off, one or the other, because I don't want anything sticking out from my shape. And nothing is sticking out there. So I have 1, 2. It moved from this side up and around to this side. It's in the same, I didn't flip it over though, so the lines are still there. So don't flip it, or it will go the opposite way. Now, if you wanted to flip it, it would create a different phenomenon. So just so you know, it's an interesting, breaking rules sometimes do interesting things, but stick to this one. Shape, up and around, go to the opposite side, tape it on. Now, while we're at it, let's do another shape along an adjacent line. Not this one or this one, but along another side, either this one or this one. And for this one, I'm just going to make like a little mountain shape, I think. And again, it goes from corner to corner. And I'm going to cut that shape out. So that's my little, it's not as pointy like a, it's still kind of like a wave, but it's more like a little soft mountain, right? So I'm taking that off, and let's see. So now I'm going to move this one from this side. This is where it belonged, right? And I'm going to jump it over, slide it down and around, and move it to the opposite side. And that's where I'm going to tape this one. Okay? Let's see. Imagine all the different shapes you could make. Everyone's different. Some people just like zigzags. That's good. And that will make a great shape. Now, I could tape it on both sides to make it stronger, but you don't need to. It's pretty good. If it's a little wacky, you might want to redo it and get it really straight. Do it again. I'm going to get it really straight up against there. I can even, if it's lined, if the index card paper is lined, then you can really line up the lines. Look at that. I lined up the lines pretty well. Okay? All right, so now our square is a very different shape. Very different indeed. All right, let's see. I'm going to try, my next step is using this as a guide to create a series of tessellating patterns. So I'm going to lay it down, outline it. Now you can start it, you could try to line up where the corner is like that, or you could put it right in the middle and twist it around, whatever you like. But you're going to use your pencil again and go around it. Hold it as you do it. This takes a little bit of holding as you go. Go all the way around it, and you will get a shape, right? You'll start your shape, and you're going to repeat and repeat and repeat, and you're going to fit it in. In other words, the next step is fitting this shape in where you think it belongs, and I think I see it can fit like a puzzle piece right in there. And now I'm going to lay this down and go around that one, and then I will see this mountain here would go here, and I would trace around it. So you're tracing around your pattern multiple times, and in the end, here's an example. You're going to start to see it repeat and repeat and repeat, and here is an almost finished one. You can see I did the pattern, I finished the pattern, and then I took my color pencils and I started to have fun. And what's interesting about the coloring that I like to do in this project is that I like to add value. If I just use my colored pencils lightly all the way across, then I get a light, all the same intensity of color. But if I press a little harder and if I add some black or white, I will get a more value, differential value for that color. And it starts to make the shapes sort of take on an attitude. Let me just show you really closely. When I'm really pressing and adding chroma, chroma is the amount of color I'm putting on, and value is the amount of light to dark. So I can add chroma by pressing harder or pressing lighter. So again, there's my pressing harder, and then I press lighter down here. And if you look carefully here, I actually went in, as I said before, and I went in with a graphite pencil, which is, graphite is pretty gray, but it gives you a darker tone. And you can use a black pencil too, but I went in and I created a darker tone. And I thought, my shape, to me, this started to look like a cat. So it was an abstract shape, something I didn't plan, but as I drew, and I drew lighter, and then I added more color, I mixed the color, I added purple to blue, I added orange to pink, I started to see things happen. And these changes between the forms, even though they're repetitious, they started to take on a really interesting character to me. So it can be abstract, but it also can seem like something, and I think that's exciting. Again, starting out with a light color is fine, but to go back in and to really create a tapestry. Now this one up here, this is without the graphite, it's just the color, but you can see I left one blank. That's not white. I added, by just not doing anything, created the negative shape of my pattern. And you'll see that again and again when you start looking at patterns like on fabrics, especially in fabrics, you'll start to see how the artist planned out and created the pattern that you see woven into a fabric or printed on a fabric. So I highly recommend that, to really have fun with the color. I also wanted to remind you that check out MC Escher. MC Escher is an artist who used tessellation and math and repetitive shapes to create a whole world of design and phenomenal imagery that you might really like. Tessellation is spelled with 2 S's and 2 L's, so look that up, and there's lots of videos about this, and there's also rotational symmetry, which might be fun for you to learn about too. But try this at home. You can even just do one shape. Just try your best with that. I'll show you all the different plans I have. Like, here was one. That became my cat shape. Here's another. Again, I want you to notice the negative moved over here and became the positive. And on this side, I cut these sharp ones. It moved down below and became the positive here, which became an amazing shape. This one, I did not go corner to corner. This sort of cloud-like shape, I made smaller. So I haven't tried that one yet to make my pattern yet, but it's ready to go. So try tessellation. It's using geometry and math. And with geometry and math, designers can create amazing things. Have a great afternoon.